Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jacob System podcast. This is Jake, the host, and with me is Joel. Say hello, Joel.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joel. Very nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me.
We are recording this on Wednesday, May 24th, because
Yes.
tomorrow is a special day for two reasons.
A very special day. If I'm not mistaken, it is your anniversary.
More importantly, yes, it is my wedding anniversary to my beautiful wife, Lisa. So
Wait, what's more importantly?
the wedding is more important. I'm going to get that out of the way.
Okay. All right. Then the other anniversary.
Because I'm planning on posting this tomorrow on the 25th, which is our wedding anniversary. So Lisa, happy anniversary! I love you. And today's show is about the other anniversary that will be happening tomorrow, which will be the
What's that?
40th anniversary
40 years.
of Star Wars.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
No, if Star Wars were an adult, it'd be having a midlife crisis. Wow, that's great.
It's going through a rough time right now.
Yeah, it's really questioning if it's done anything significant.
Star Wars is back and bigger than ever now with all the new movies and stuff. And it's crazy to think that 40 years ago, it all started with a little movie that George Lucas made.
That even the actors didn't necessarily.
Even the actors and everyone who involved was like, what are we doing
here? Yeah, I know. And I think it's a beautiful testimony to the underdog. And, you know, we live in a time where everyone is like, what's trending and what's predictable, and everyone tries to predict outcomes. But it just goes to show you that there are, like, underdogs that not only succeed, like they break the mold.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And I love that because I have a special place in my heart for underdogs and for anyone that says like, oh, this isn't going to be good. Well, It was like the little movie that could, you know?
For sure. Even though it was, had a huge budget and everything, but even though there was a fairly big movie at the time, budget-wise and stuff, but that's the funny thing is like nobody had really any faith in it except for a few handful of people, and a lot of people involved were like, making the movie, but they're like, is this really gonna be good? Like, are we just,
and it's crazy because now Star Wars is probably the most marketable brand. It's the most marketed, most if you talk about dollars and cents, highest grossing like brand or trademark.
Here's something you might not know. I like Star Wars.
Oh, okay. Well, believe it or not, I think I knew that. I think that was pretty clear when
it may come as a shocker.
Yeah. But
so today we watched the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which to most people would call A New Hope, Episode 4, A New Hope. But the version we watched was the original, unaltered, pre-special edition version, just called Star Wars.
Yeah, which was very special for me. I'd never seen the original version. I'll tell us a quick story real quick. I remember when I think I was in middle school, I hadn't seen any Star Wars movies, and then Episode 1 came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, the Star Wars movies, they came out, and I was like, I need to watch these. So I remember going to the video store, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch Star Wars, and then I got A New Hope, and I was really confused because I didn't know it was called A New Hope. I always just thought it was called Star Wars.
Yeah,
and I actually, this will tell you how ignorant I thought it was a 6-hour long movie. Like I thought like Star Wars and Empire and Jedi were all one movie.
And, really?
And there was just one movie called Star Wars, and I thought it was just a 6-hour long movie. and so when I rented A New Hope, I got it. And I was like, yes, I got it. And then like halfway through it, I'm like, what the heck? Like
where's the rest of it?
Where's the rest of it?
So you saw Episode 1 before you saw any of the originals?
Yes.
See, you have a unique I guess point of view now, which is it's more common now with younger kids, but people who grew up Star Wars, we had episodes 4, 5, and 6, so those are always so ingrained in our memories. So then it was hard to look at the movie from episode 1 without obviously knowing what comes next. So, because I had people I know, friends who had never seen any Star Wars, and after all the original 6 movies had come out, and they're like, I've never watched Star Wars. Where should I start? And I'm like, that's such a hard question because
because
you go with how most people went and saw 4, 5, and 6, and then watch 1, 2, 3, or do you actually watch them in the order that the chronological order? So.
Right, because it obviously the prequel trilogy, it has the ability to potentially really govern your perception of some of the characters.
Right.
And it's almost like you'd be watching an entirely different movie. It'd be a completely different experience.
I think it's better to watch 4, 5, and 6 first, even though you'll get the end of the story first, but there's a lot of surprises that if you watch 1, 2, and 3, they will be ruined for you. If you had never seen anything of Star Wars, you had no idea Darth Vader was Luke's dad and stuff like that, which most people already know, even if they haven't seen the movie. I think it's such a common spoiler alert, everyone.
Yeah,
the movie's only been out for a while, but
yeah, only 40 years.
But yeah,
no, it's funny. I when I watched episodes 4, 5, and 6, I didn't know that Darth Vader was Luke's dad. So
right.
I was fortunate enough in the sense where that probably everyone was talking about it, but it hadn't reached my ears, so it was completely fresh to me.
So the first time you saw episode 4,
yeah,
aka just Star Wars,
it was the 96 version. It was when he went back and he started to tweak.
Okay.
It was the first time.
So you saw the special edition version.
I saw the special edition version, which was interesting because before the movie there was a little bonus feature of he was being interviewed and he talked about well, I made these changes and
I made some changes. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with it.
R2's behind a rock and
I put some digital rocks in front of some characters.
Yeah, and there's some giant lizards for the stormtroopers to ride.
When did you first see the unaltered version?
Just now.
You had never seen that before?
I'd never seen it.
I thought you said you did.
Well, I hadn't.
You're just trying to seem cool.
Yeah.
Of course I've seen it.
Of course, Jake. What am I, an idiot?
Yeah, unaltered, of course.
Yeah, unaltered, of course. Right.
Okay. Well,
I think I said to you it became pretty clear that I was bluffing because I was like, right, isn't Jabba a fat guy with a furry coat on? And you're like, no, that scene wasn't even in it. And I was like, oh, right.
So was it weird watching it watching the non-special edition, and obviously there's certain scenes that were added to the special editions, but was there anything I guess glaringly different?
Yeah, I often when I would watch the special feature or the special edition ones that had the retouches, I always wondered. I was like, gosh, what did this look like in 1977, when it first came out? And it was just I always wanted to see what it was like, because you're always curious because it's such an iconic movie, and it's I want to see it as it was presented for the very first time, And then it's fun to try to get in the mindset of oh gosh, what were some of the movies like back then? I mean, I think you had Planet of the Apes,
right.
and Dante's Inferno.
There wasn't really any
nothing like it.
Yeah, there wasn't really any sci-fi movies that were really, I guess, as marketable as Star Wars were. Planet of the Apes were, they had I think toys and board games and stuff, but nowhere near.
I know, I wasn't born.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but I know I'm such a toy nerd and collector and stuff. I know all these stories that Star Wars completely changed the game, not only for sci-fi but for everything.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do remember hearing that when the movie came out and they made toys that so many orders were made that they didn't have enough toys to fill, so kids would have to
they sold the early bird box,
which is just an empty box, or it was a sheet of paper, and it was you can pick up a Star Wars toy at your toy store when
no, it was just basically an empty box, and And they were saying like,
which as a kid,
once the toys are done, you're gonna receive these 4 toys.
Yeah, can you imagine?
And it was like a display box.
It's a box,
right.
and you're like, here, and you're a kid, and you're like, whoa, Star Wars, and you think there's gonna be something in it, and then you just open it.
Just another example of how they had no idea how huge this movie was gonna be.
Yeah.
Came out, it blew up and changed the game.
It struck a chord with the American people.
So seeing the differences in the non-special edition version, what did you think of the whole Han shooting first? Because you had never seen that version. You'd always seen the special edition where they had either Greedo shooting first or then the other version they had where they kind of shoot at the same time. And
yeah.
The whole reason behind that was George Lucas saying he didn't want Han Solo to seem like a
scoundrel,
like a ruthless killer, which is ridiculous because
he's
a pirate. He's supposed to be just this
Yeah, he's involved in crime.
Right.
I will say when I saw it for the first time, I did think it was kind of strange because it's almost like when they tweaked it, it looked like the Greedo had shot first and he just dodged it,
right,
and
yeah.
But while he was dodging, shot him.
They added this awful digital effect where they digitally moved his head to the side and it looked really bad.
And it just looked like he he was super fast.
Yeah.
This one was cool because it was just like they were having a conversation and then clearly Han shot him under the table.
Yeah.
He
just wasn't putting up with it.
Yeah, he just was like, I bet you would. And he just dropped him.
The cantina scene is a very memorable scene for me. The first time I saw the movie, I was probably, 5.
Oh, I imagine if you were a kid watching that would have been
And I remember the first
freaky.
time. I remember the first time my dad, I think he came home with the trilogy. He was like, "Hey guys, look what I got," and I had no idea what it was. My brother had the toys and stuff, so I kind of oh, that's
a thing.
That's that Star Wars stuff.
That's a thing my brother's always playing with.
And then I remember watching that scene, and as a kid, that part where Obi-Wan chops off the dude's arm, the Walrus Man or whatever his name is, Ponda Baba for all the nerds out there, because he chops off his arm and it's laying on the ground and there's blood, and as a kid, I didn't see a lot of movies that had blood and decapitated limbs and stuff in it, so that was a really that scene really stuck in my head and really kind of was what happened? What?
And I've heard nerds be like, well, wouldn't a lightsaber cauterize it and there wouldn't be any blood?
Right, yeah.
But,
And we were talking about, when we were watching it, that originally they were going to have him decapitate the dude.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually built, they had the prop of, the severed head and
stuff.
And there's a behind-the-scenes photo you can find of some guy, pouring blood onto, the severed head, and they're like... You know what? Maybe we're going too far with this.
Maybe.
This is kind of a kids movie.
They would do that now in a heartbeat.
Right.
I mean, they chopped off Django's head.
Yeah, that's true.
And
it was cauterized. There was no blood.
Yeah, there was no blood. Just a smoking stump.
So do you notice that this... I mean, obviously you've seen this movie several times. And what's interesting about the original Star Wars is that it's one of the... I guess few... now they're doing more like this, but it's one of the few Star Wars movies that's... really could just be its own self-contained story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And even if they never made any sequels, they pretty much wrap up the story as much as any movie could at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they hadn't had any sequels back then, I mean they made sequels, but nothing like this on this level.
Yeah.
What do you think about it being its own self-contained story, and if they never had made sequels, do you think Star Wars would still be as popular as it is today?
No, because I thought the first movie, what we just watched, A New Hope, was an amazing introduction, and it was so good that it's you got to give me more. You got to give me more of that, and in the business of episode 4, 5, and 6, I think they just got better.
Yeah.
The stories got more, just more dangerous. The stakes got more high. The characters got more depth to them. There was more drama and there was more tension and conflict. And
I think a lot of people agree Empire is definitely the best of the original trilogy.
I would say, if we're gonna roller coaster this, Empire was kind of, you're coming up to the very tippy top, and right at the end is like the cliffhanger of that is like the plunge.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
You know, Empire, you like just walked away and you're like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how people saw that in theaters back then and how they waited until Return of the Jedi, because that was just like
3 years later. Like, you know,
yeah,
we're lucky now that they're making Star Wars movies every year. You know, at least in some way, it's even though it's not the same stories, because now they're skipping a year for the
right. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, yeah, 3 years. That's
I feel like the original Star Wars, the one from 1977, A New Hope. I feel like that's always kind of a go-to for me if I feel like watching Star Wars, because if you start watching that, if you watch that, you can watch the whole movie and then you're like, okay, that's a great movie. I don't have to feel like I have to finish it. But if I watch Empire, as soon as I finish that, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch Jedi now, because I gotta you know, you get OCD about it. Like, I need to finish the story now. You know,
you do.
It's such like a cliffhanger.
Yeah. For me, my favorite is New Hope, because there's it's nostalgia. I mean, it's just so much nostalgia, because it's those. That was the one I think where you just felt the most excitement. You felt the most. I don't know, just the feelings that you felt.
It's such a fun movie.
When you watched it the first time,
and even though I think Empire is the best, I think A New Hope might be my favorite of all of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Just because it's just iconic, classic, nostalgic.
So it being kind of its own, in a way, kind of being its own standalone storyline. What do you think the future of the Star Wars films are going to be now that they are kind of doing these sort of standalone movies? Like, we got Rogue One.
Yeah, and that was great. Like,
this past movie.
Like I said to you, I thought it was just a perfectly shaped puzzle piece that they crafted to put right in between episodes 3 and 4. Like, it was just it was a great prequel to what I think is the best and most iconic Star Wars movie.
Do you think do you think they work as well, these standalone movies, as like the legacy, I guess, kind of like the trilogy sort of episodes? Because we've had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we're having 7, 8, 9.
I think if you can do a job of telling a unique individual story, but while at the same time reminding everyone that it is part of that larger iconic narrative, that legacy that we all fell in love with. So it's a kind of a juggling act where it's like, yeah, you have to differentiate it as a new story, a new adventure, while at the same time connecting it deeply and well enough into that iconic classic trilogy that we all grew up with.
What are you most excited for with the future of Star Wars movies?
Honestly, I'm just so glad they're making Star Wars movies, and honestly, I just thought it was so great that George Lucas gave permission and sold the rights, so all these other great talented filmmakers, because it was a movie that not only we all love, but it inspired so many filmmakers too. Right. And so now, like, a lot of filmmakers get to really live out a dream and, like, you know, create something that is special to them, because it takes place in a universe that influenced them and touched them and caused them to dream and have imagination and creativity. So for me, my hope for the Star Wars movie is just that it continues to bring about more creative tellings of the tale. Like, it's great having the familiar and the new unique story and the unique way of telling the stories.
Pretty cool that it all started 40 years ago with one guy who had this crazy idea for this movie, and look where we are now.
And it was his third movie.
Yeah, it just shows if you have the will and the drive to see through to your dreams, you can accomplish something like this.
I hope they get darker. I do hope they get darker.
Yeah. I'm excited for the Han Solo movie. I think that'll be a lot of fun. seeing like the young Han and Lando and their adventures.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting seeing a new actor other than Harrison Ford play the iconic character.
Yeah, it's always kind of weird when they do that, when they have a actor play the same character just as a younger version.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it worked. I think it worked in The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
If you get the right actor,
yeah,
and I thought they did that with The Hobbit pretty well.
Yeah, so it's very exciting to see how things are gonna work out. But anyways, happy 40th anniversary to Star Wars, or whatever you call it, Episode 4, New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for listening to our review. And be sure to subscribe to the Jacob a System podcast, as well as check out theconguy.com, because we're going to be doing some upcoming toy reviews and some movie reviews. And we're also going to be doing some other podcast movie reviews. We're going to go see Wonder Woman, I think, is the next thing on the agenda.
Which is great, because I heart that woman.
I heart Wonder Woman as well.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking around and listening to the podcast, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.